This is the mighty Columbia River in the state of Washington, scene of one of the strangest mysteries on earth. Once a year, a fish called salmon answers a strange summons. Coming from hundreds of miles at sea, they swim up the Columbia to the exact place of their birth. They lay their eggs and die, completing one of the most mysterious homing instincts known to man. This homing instinct of the salmon is the subject of this request from a John Phillips of Portland, Oregon. He writes, for centuries, nature alone could designate where a salmon would be born and where he would come back to spawn and die. Recently, however, in order to get salmon to go to new and better spawning grounds, the Washington State Department of Fisheries has learned how to control his mysterious homing instinct. Now, this story is so important, both to the future of the fish and to man, that I'm asking you to present this accomplishment on your show. Well, Mr. Phillips, now let's say, for example, now, that this small stream here is no longer a good place for the salmon to spawn due to chemical changes in the water brought about, let's say, by a new nearby industrial plant that was built up here. Now, if eggs are laid here, they'll perish, and millions of future salmon will be lost. And yet, here, and here, and here are good, clean spawning places. Now, what does man do about this now? Well, he'll locate the fish in a different place. The future generations, they'll take them from this danger area here, and they'll transplant them to one of these safer areas. And for the way he'll handle this amazing change, let's go by film to Puyallup, Washington. Now, salmon returning upstream to spawn in an area now closed or contaminated are cut off, and they're gathered in nets. They're carefully sorted to determine if a fish is ripe and ready to lay her eggs. 100 years ago, these great game fish abounded in these western Washington rivers, and they renewed themselves with automatic ease. But as civilization moved in faster and faster, certain spawning grounds ceased to exist. Millions of eggs were being deposited and wasted, so the hatcheries took on the job of rearing the eggs themselves. The number of eggs gathered is computed by weighing them, approximately 1,500 eggs to the pound. Then they're placed in hatching troughs. Water flows from the bottom up through the eggs so they won't suffocate. The hatchery men watch over the eggs like mother hens. They're continually on the alert for a dead one, which might contaminate the others. Now, the first 3 weeks, the salmon eggs are extremely delicate. Between 21 to 25 days later, they become eye eggs, and you can actually see the heartbeat with the naked eye. Not long after that, the baby salmon cracks his eggshell and comes out into the world. He must emerge tail first. If he comes out head first, he dies. He carries a yolk sac on his stomach, which supplies his food for the next 6 weeks. During this period, he learns to swim just about a baby learns to walk. By now, he's a free, swimming, and feeding fish, and plenty active. They're placed in these outside ponds and raised to fingerlings. Then they're gathered in nets and loaded aboard specially built trucks and transported to a small stream selected as a spawning ground for these baby salmon. Such a rearing process has eliminated destruction of eggs by floods, by suffocation, by silt, starvation, many other diseases. Now, they're released in a stream of water into their man-made home. For the first time in their lives, these salmon are on their own. They usually spend a few days getting accustomed to their new freedom. Then they begin their journey downstream. Their tiny tributary merges with a larger. Then it merges with a river, which in turn runs into the mighty Columbia River and on out to sea. And sometime within the next 3 to 5 years, these same salmon will return unerringly to the very same stream that man selected as their home, to lay their eggs, to die. So you see, Mr. Phillips, even though man cannot account for the strangest homing instinct on Earth, he now has a hand in keeping it alive. This we now know because you asked for it.